why, as a leftist, I'm not disappointed with the rise of reform. Why? Because it basically symbolises the end of the mainstream legacy parties like Labour and Tories. And the reason, or the biggest reason why I would like to thank reform, is if it wasn't for you, Green Party wouldn't be on the rise, and we wouldn't have like the greatest politician ever walk the face of the earth in Zach Lansky, being a leader of the Green Party. So, you know, the rise of the far right basically just ends up leading to the rise of progressivism and wokeism. And, you know, wokeism meaning catch-all term for everything left-leaning. You know, so the more extreme parties get, the more it pushes like into like progressivism and leftism. So I'm not really I shouldn't be too mad. Obviously, I'm still a bit mad, but I shouldn't be too mad at reform, because the rise in reform literally signals the rise of the left, the actual progressive the actual progressive, real, modern left. And the reason why I'm not too fussed on reform winning the next election is because I know within 5 years, if they go in a far right direction, like Donald Trump has in 2025, you know, more and more people are going to be, you know, wanting to shift to like Green Party, and the rise of the Green Party will get greater and greater and greater the more the opposition goes even further to the right. And you know, I'm not too mad at reform. I'm not too mad at reform if they win, because I know that, you know, eventually I think there's going to be a mass exodus of regretting voters basically leaving reform and regretting their votes, because the only hope that reform really has to succeed is if they actually start doing some lefty progressive policies, you know, like increasing the minimum wage, or like increasing healthcare, or improving mental health support. So I'm not too fussed. I'm not too mad at reform winning if they win the next election and the rise of reform, because, you know, what we're seeing is that people don't like the mainstream parties anymore, and they want something new. But then also reform are basically turning into the Tory party. So, you know, people voted for Labour because they didn't like the Tories' conservatism, their conservative politics, their constant austerity. And, you know, if history repeats itself with, you know, the Tories and Trump, you know, because Trump's going to lose in the midterm, and the Republicans are going to lose in the next election. If history repeats itself, reform are kind of doomed to fail. So I'm not too fussed about reform. So, you know, I think potentially within 5 years, or in 5 years, reform are going to fail. Yeah, so thank you, reform, for pushing the left, and basically eliminating kind of all conservative parties. You know, we got to wait like, was it like 9 years or whatever. But yeah, not too fussed about reform really. Or I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be pissed off. I shouldn't be upset. Victories for reform is victories for the left. Is victories for progressivism for the left and for Green Party. The progressive age is inevitable. You can't stop it, because progressivism is the true nature of humanity. Humanity is not meant to stay stagnant and non-changing. Conservatism is the enemy of progress, and conservatism is destined to fail and to cease to exist. And, you know, reform and Farage are only hastening that demise. in the short term, some victories, but in the long term, they're not really a lasting party because people have had enough of mainstream parties, which the form is the Tories 2.0.